There's probably loads of things we can learn from Bubba Watson's golf swing, but is there anything we should copy? Find out in just a moment. See you then. So, what can we learn from Bubba Watson's golf swing? Well, there's got to be some stuff in there. Bubba, by his own admission, has never had a golf swing or a golf lesson in his life. And we know for certain then that everything in his golf swing is purely intuitive. The question is, how does he get that massive distance and how does he get that repetition, that ability to control where the golf ball's going at the same time? That is astounding if you really look at him, because I don't think you have to be a teacher of golf to actually see all the things that are going on in Bubba Watson's swing, whether it be his massive rotation, his feet coming off the ground, both in the backswing and in the follow-through, and he's still hitting the golf ball and earning good money at this game. So we've got to look at his golf swing closer to understand how that actually works. And the first thing is quite simple. The axis of his swing stays still irrespective of what all of his different body parts are doing. If you watch him backswing and downswing, the center of his chest, so if a point behind the chest, in between both shoulders, is basically staying still, irrespective that his foot comes off the ground in the backswing, he's got the club somewhere down here, he's lifted his arms up. In the downswing, it's even worse, he's coming off the ground with both feet, but the axis is staying in the same position. And despite the bend of his body, he's the same distance between his shoulders and the ground. And therefore, the golf ball really doesn't know what's going on in his golf swing. And I'm not saying it's easy, but that is something you want to copy. So if we want to look at Bubba's swing in a little bit more detail, then what we've got to do is really kind of try and look behind the scenes at what's actually going on. How is he doing what he's doing? When he starts the backswing, he actually allows his kind of hips to rotate, and he's actually picking up his right heel, which will allow the hips to rotate further than they usually could if the heel was on the ground. That will obviously in the end give him a little bit more backswing. At the same time, he is also using the right arm and the left arm to pick the club up. So he's picking the club up steeper than you would see in an instructional manual. At the same time, however, he keeps the axis over the ball and he keeps his shoulders in plane. That means his shoulders are rotating parallel to the original plane of the golf club. So despite all this stuff going on with his legs and all this stuff going on with his arms and hands, his shoulders are staying in plane and he's keeping his axis the same distance from the golf ball. Of course, at the top of his golf swing, it starts to look more and more unorthodox as elbows go up, arms come up, clubs start dropping over parallel at the top. And he's really getting into a position a little bit kind of John Daly-esque. But this is one of the reasons that he can get so much club head speed on the ball, because he's just got such a long run up at it. In the downswing, things don't get any less complicated. He's actually getting his hip back out of the way, but at the same time kind of coming off the left heel. So although you have the feeling that he seems to be kind of transferring his weight, the axis stays over the golf ball, his shoulders stay in plane, and it's because his shoulders are kind of in plane and turning back that they're pulling what was a relatively steep takeaway back down into plane. And this is where you see the arms drop on the club, come back into plane. One of the wonderful things he does there is he keeps his arms and hands passive. He's not trying to hit at the golf ball from the top. On the contrary, he's letting his hips rotate, his shoulders come back, and he's leaving the arms totally passive to be pulled back down into plane in the downswing. And as he continues this rotation, you can actually see now both heels coming off the ground. Now, one of the things you'll see in a lot of Bubba's swings is that his right foot will actually come off the ground at impact. So this really contradicts a lot of the things that people think about getting away 80% into the left side before you hit the golf ball. And just because it's Bubba Watson, don't think that this is something that other pros aren't doing. There's an awful lot of evidence that especially with the driver, they do not have more weight on the right foot than on the left foot. On the contrary, more is on the left foot. And we're talking about a left-handed golfer here because it's Bubba. That means the back foot has actually got more weight on it when they hit the driver than the left foot, than the front foot, if I could get my tongue into gear today. The trick then is basically, again for Bubba, keeping the shoulders in plane, keeping the axis in the same position and allowing the club then to release through the ball. And because of this massive run up that he's taken and the use of the ground forces that he has, this is what's given him this massive distance and acceleration through the golf ball. What happens after that, well, that's something which only Bubba knows. And I don't even think he knows really, because he'll sometimes get into a different finish position with every swing. But the golf ball doesn't know. The golf ball's already on its way to the target, and a lot of the things that we see as instability in Bubba's swing is no instability in truth. His axis is quiet, his shoulders are in plane, and if you've got those two things in a golf swing, you're going to have a very, very good chance of hitting the golf ball. That combined with a massive amount of natural talent. Imagine what that guy would have done if he'd had a golf lesson in his early years. I'm sure he would have been an even better golfer than he is now. But then I've got to say that because I teach golf for a living. So we all believe that what we do is not totally irrelevant. If you has ever enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe, and don't forget the little bell. That will give you notifications when the next video comes on the market. I'll leave my philosophy as ever up there if you're interested in my further thoughts on a golf swing. Look forward to seeing you all very shortly. See you next time.